What up, YouTube? Mr. Mulligan back in the building. Today I've got a Pokemon X and Y OU battle against a user by the name of Greenziez. This is a battle I had a few weeks back, and unfortunately the next few battles I'll be posting are all from a few weeks back. But they are still pretty good ones that I feel are worth commentating over. The team I'm using is based around a threat you don't see that often, especially given the new Pokemon that people have been trying out from X and Y the past few months. And that threat is Trick Room Victini. Offensive Trick Room Victini, to be exact. In the right circumstances, offensive Trick Room Victini, in my opinion, is one of the strongest sweepers in the game. But speaking of those circumstances, let's take a look at Greenziez's team and see what I need to deal with. So Greenziez is running not one, not two, but three ground types, which is a big obstacle for my team to overcome if I plan on sweeping with Victini. Excadrill not so much, because it can't switch into Victini and there's no sand inducer on either team, so I don't have to worry about sand rush. My main concerns are taking out Gliscor, since subtoxic is generally annoying, and Garchomp, especially if it ends up being Mega Garchomp. Also, I'll need to keep Stealth Rock off my side and on my opponent's side of the field. So I'm looking for Blastoise to get a lot of play here. Ferrothorn is my rocker, but it'll be tricky to get in since he's got Talonflame with some good mons supporting it, like Excadrill and Florges, especially given the set I'm running, which you'll see in a bit. But I do have one trick up my sleeve, so let's see if it works. Alright, enough talk. Let's get underway and see how I do. I lead off with rotom-w, expecting Talonflame to lead, since his Choice Scarfing is generally a good lead, and my opponent does just that. Immediately hard switches to Garchomp, predicting the Volt Switch, which I go for. I didn't need to predict because although there's three ground types, none of them appreciate a follow-up Hydro Pump. So I switched to Ferrothorn since I'm locked in the Volt Switch, and indeed this is Mega Garchomp, and my opponent immediately shows Swords Dance, which was questionable, since there's not much else on his team that's as big of a threat as this Garchomp. But now that Hydreigon outspeeds Garchomp, I switch into Earthquake so I can force Garchomp out with the threat of Draco Meteor. And I knew the Florges was coming in, but I had to Draco Meteor, otherwise +2 Mega Garchomp sweeps my entire team. Now the most common set I see on Florges is Wish Pass. There's nothing to heal right now, so Moonblast was obvious. I switched to Ferrothorn since I might not get another chance to set up Stealth Rock, and Florges gets a special attack drop, which completely matters. Talonflame basically has to come in here, otherwise it takes 50% needlessly later on, but this is going to free my Ferrothorn up to do other things later, as you'll see. So I go to rotom-w since it's a great answer to Talonflame. He Brave Birds, and I'm actually running a bulky EV spread, and that Brave Bird did hella damage. Yes, damage. So it's Choice Banding. Since I used Volt Switch back on turn 1 and Garchomp came in, I switch up, go for Hydro Pump, thinking Talonflame would not want to stay in, and I end up catching the Garchomp and get a nice 44% chunk off, which will help later on. Now I go to Ferrothorn here, expecting a Dragon Stab since Hydro Pump did so much, and my opponent wouldn't want to risk staying in to go for something like Fire Fang. He switches to Florges, expecting me to stay in Hydro Pump, and I got to show here the reason why I needed Stealth Rock earlier to get it out of the way. I knew Wish was coming, so I show the Choice Band Gyro Ball, annihilate the Florges, and he brings Excadrill on the free switch. I go for Gyro Ball again because I want to get damage on the ground types to soften them up for the trick I have up my sleeve, which opens Victini up to sweep. So Gyro Ball ends up doing more damage than Wish can heal, and I was also expecting Rapid Spin, but the EQ surprised me, which was a good play. And Rapid Spin was obvious, but I had to go to make the safe play and go to Hydreigon. It was way too risky to try and block Rapid Spin with aegislash. My opponent went for the Rock Slide, confirming this Excadrill was max speed Jolly, but Hydreigon doesn't flinch because she ain't scared, and I cooked them all with Fire Blast. Gliscor comes in on the free switch, which looked like a huge misplay on my opponent's part until I saw the Focus Blast. It turns out to be Zoroark, but he misses, and the miss was unfortunate since it allows me to bring aegislash in for basically for free since he has to Focus Blast again. But if the miss didn't happen, I would have brought in rotom-w, and Focus Blast actually isn't a OHKO from that range, so the miss wasn't that huge. But I finished Zoroark off with the Shadow Sneak after taking a Sucker Punch. In comes the Garchomp. The earlier Hydro Pump damage comes into play here. I make a ballsy play and stay in the Shadow Ball, expecting him to predict me to switch out in Swords Dance, and I get the KO. Now the real Gliscor comes in on the free switch, and I King Shield here to scout the set, even though I was positive this was a Subtoxic Gliscor, since that's almost the only set I was running into at the time of this battle, and what do you know? And actually I was kidding about the ballsy play earlier. I do carry Shuca Berry on this aegislash, so I stay in the Shadow Ball, and I break the sub. Shuca Berry was also why I Gyro Balled Excadrill earlier, just in case I needed to use aegislash to deal with it. But I fodder aegislash to Earthquake, and I bring Blastoise in on the free switch. I'm going to go ahead and Mega Evolve here, so I can easily deal with this Gliscor. I do carry Ice Beam, and it's here where my opponent decides to try and PP stall me out of Ice Beams. The problem with this though is I also have Stab Scald, which was actually the bigger reason why I Mega Evolved, so I could get the special attack stat boost. I wanted absolutely no chance of this Gliscor surviving either move, since I didn't calc Scald from a normal Blastoise at the time. And Gliscor has 32 PP between Substitute and Protect, and Blastoise has 40 PP between Scald and Ice Beam. And my opponent also couldn't really afford the Toxic, since Gliscor would be KO'd immediately, or most likely. The Shuca Berry earlier was actually the nail in the coffin, since Gliscor needed to be behind a sub to get a Toxic off and have a chance. But I end up telling my opponent that there's no way Blastoise can be stalled out, and he ends up forfeiting the match. It's unfortunate that I didn't get to show off Victini, but I hope you guys enjoyed the battle anyway. If you did, feel free to hit that like button just below the video. If you absolutely loved the video, feel free to favorite it and share it with your friends across the interwebs. Also, if you don't want to miss any future content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It lets me know others have an interest in what I do and clearly helps my content get noticed. Also, follow me on the social clubs I hang out at Twitter and Google+. The Facebook fan page is coming, guys, don't worry. I'll leave links to those in the description box below the video. Anyway, until the next episode, take care, guys. Mr. Mulligan has left the building. Peace.